Hello Legends and welcome to my review for Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, and just like I did my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3 and my Once Upon a Time Season 5 reviews, which are up on our channel right now. Click right here to watch them, or in the description below there are links right there for both these videos. I will give you a review of the finale episode and an overview of what I thought of the season in general. So we start this episode off with Rip Hunter having to deal with the fact that once again he could not save his wife and child. He's having all these emotions, he feels desperate, he feels useless, he can't do anything to change what Vandal Savage is doing, and we see him leaving the team in Star City 2016. We see our characters trying to get back to their normal lives. Sarah goes to her dad in the Arrow Cave, and we get an emotional scene from the Bat where Lance tells his daughter that Laurel is dead. We see Sarah struggling with the fact that this is true. She wants to change it. We then see Mick trying to get back to his thieving ways, but Ray wants to help him. He wants to hang out with him. He feels guilty for having Leonard Snart die in the last episode, and he wants to reconcile with Mick, but Mick doesn't really like Ray, and he's having none of it. We also see Dr. Stein trying to get back to his normal life, hanging out with his wife at home, and they get a few equipments, and they are getting back Rip and his ship. We see Rip coming back. All together, they decide to go save Kendra and Carter, who are still held up by Vandal Savage. And then we see Kendra in 1944 St. Lo, France, and she meets Sergeant Rock. She tries to ask for help, she puts a little paper on his helmet, and then all of a sudden a knife comes in. We see Vandal Savage running to them, and a knife being stuck on Sergeant Rock's chest, and he immediately dies. We have a little scuttle between Kendra and Vandal Savage, but he immediately chokes her out. We go back to the ship where we see the team discussing with Rick to go back and fulfill their mission, but Sarah wants to go back and save Laurel's life. And time will not allow people to change it. Time will run its course as it should and as it wants to, and no one can do anything about it. Rip makes Sarah pass out, and then they find a very interesting helmet in which there's a paper inside. St. Lo, France, 1944, and they understand that Kendra sent it to them, and now they are definitely going to rescue Kendra and Carter. We get back to Kendra and Carter imprisoned by Vandal Savage, and he's now taking their blood. Why? Because the meteorite that fell on Earth in 35 BC, I think it was 35 BC, correct me if I'm wrong, was Thanagarian. Now with their blood, he's going to activate the meteorite in 3 different time periods and absolutely annihilate the Earth so he can conquer it. We see Sarah dealing with the death of her sister. It's really being heavy on her, and Rip goes to talk to her. Sarah can't handle it. She really wants to save Laurel, and she doesn't think she can do this without Laurel, because Laurel was the one that put her up to this, that sent her out in this adventure, that made her decide to go. But Rip trusts in Sarah. He says Sarah is capable of this by her own. And if Laurel believed in her before, it's because she had reasons to, and she's so strong. Laurel had reasons to put Sarah up to this mission, to make her go. She trusted Sarah, so Rip completely trusts Sarah as well to pull off this mission. We see Vandal Savage meeting with some Nazis because they have one of the Thanagarian meteorites, but then in come our Legends of Tomorrow, and they start a big all-out battle with both the Nazis and Vandal Savage. Still, Vandal Savage is able to get the meteorite, but our Legends are able to rescue Kendra and Carter from Vandal's ship. One thing really interesting that happens in this scene, in this all-out battle, is that Firestorm, while trying to disarm a Nazi soldier, transmutes his weapon. He really doesn't understand what is going on, at least Jay doesn't, but Martin Stein explains what he just did without knowing. Our heroes fly away, but one of Vandal Savage's soldier shoots Kendra and she falls to the ground. Our Legends escape, but Vandal Savage still holds on to Kendra. We see our heroes devise a plan to face Vandal Savage in 3 different time periods so we cannot blow up the meteorites, and then we pass on to Harmony Falls, 1958, and we see Vandal Savage meeting with Vandal Savage. He's telling the other Vandal Savage what his plan is. It's a really confusing scene to explain, but just try to go on with me. Vandal Savage tells the second Vandal Savage what his plan is, what they are going to do so they can conquer the Earth. And of course, the original Vandal Savage gives the new one a little bit of Thanagarian blood. And then we see our teams dividing. In St. Rock 2021, we see Rip Hunter and Carter Hall trying to save Kendra from the original Vandal Savage. Then we go back to Harmony Falls 1958, 1958. And we see Adam and Mick going to face that version of Vandal Savage. And then in Norway in 1975, where our heroes were in the second episode, we see Firestorm and Sarah surveilling Vandal Savage so they can attack him and disarm him at any time. Vandal Savage having a meeting with his dealer, and suddenly we see the explosion that we saw in the second episode when Firestorm took the nuke to the island. This of course alerts Vandal Savage, and of course all of them are suddenly trying to activate their meteorites. This is where our legends come in, and we see Rip Hunter and Carter Hall versus Vandal Savage in 2021, we see Adam and Heatwave facing Vandal Savage in 1958, and we see White Canary and Firestorm facing Vandal Savage in 1975. Carter Hall releases Kendra, and she starts fighting Vandal Savage's forces as well. All these fights were amazing, just like the action has been all throughout this season, and we see our heroes kicking some ass. We have White Canary versus Vandal Savage, which is an awesome martial arts style fight, very physical, very brutal. Vandal Savage throwing knives at her staff, she getting the knives away with her staff. It's an awesome fight. Then an even more physical fight, which is brutal, a pure street brawl with Adam and Heatwave versus Vandal Savage in 1958. And then in 2021, it's Rip Hunter and his gun versus Vandal Savage's soldier, and the Thanagarians versus Vandal Savage himself. But time is running out for our characters. They need to deactivate the meteorites as fast as possible. Rip Hunter suddenly gets shot off the roof, but he rises up in the ship and he's standing in a really awkward position, more like he's cold and not crossing his arms like a boss that he should be. But still, awesome scene. Rip Hunter of course is safe and the fight continues. And now we see our heroes taking down the different versions of Vandal Savage one by one. We see Kendra stabbing a knife in his chest, we see Heatwave putting him on fire, and we see Sarah knocking him out. Rip Hunter grabs Vandal Savage and throws him at this electrical chain right next to them, and Vandal Savage's immortality lives him. He dies, but the meteorites are still ready to go off at any moment. Adam quickly takes care of his meteorite, shrinking it to an ant size. Then we see Firestorm transmuting his meteorite and turning it into water, and then the final meteorite is the only one left, but they can't get rid of it. Adam can shrink it, Firestorm can't transmute it, and then Rip Hunter makes an ultimate decision. And he decides to say goodbye to the team and take himself in the ship with Gideon, the meteorite, to the sun. He sits on his chair, and we see Rip having a dream about his family or an illusion, and he hugs them out, he cries his tears. It's a really emotional scene. Rip Hunter, Arthur Davil, amazing performance in this series. We see this really emotional moment to this character who has come a full way, changed so much through his adventures. But then he wakes up and Gideon tells him she's not ready to die, and this makes Rip Hunter think she's also a living conscience, an AI, but still living conscience. He has had conversations with Gideon. He considers her a friend. And then Rip Hunter decides to eject the meteor into the sun and fly away. He comes back in time, and as our heroes gather again in the ship, Rip decides to make them an official team. All of them, from now on, will protect the timeline. We then go back to Star City 2016. We have Sarah saying goodbye to her sister, leaving some flowers at her grave. Really emotional scene, and Katie Lotz played it to a T. We see her meeting with her father and deciding to go on this adventure from now on. Martin Stein is again with his wife, but then Jay comes in and they announce to him, both Jay and Martin's wife, that he should go on this adventure and protect the timeline and the world. We see Mick meeting with Captain Cold, who's alive in this timeline. He can't tell him what he wants to tell him. Captain Cold doesn't really do touchy-feely, so Mick tells him, "You're the best guy I know. Goodbye." Something that really makes you feel for this character that you haven't felt before. I really haven't been paying much attention to Mick, but in this scene, Dominic Purcell really brought it. And so did Wentworth Miller, who is left thinking, what did his friend meant by these words and why did he say them? And Leonard Starr doesn't have a clue about what this whole thing meant. We have all our characters ready to go on their adventures, but Kendra and Carter decide to leave the team and go on their own adventure and live their life now that they are free from Vandal Savage's curse. All of them leave in good terms, and now we have Heatwave, Adam, White Canary, Firestorm, and Rip Hunter. Our characters are all ready to leave to go on their adventures, but suddenly a ship comes in through a time portal, crashes on the ground, and out comes a man in the hood asking if this is Star City 2016. Our characters say yes, and he says, "Wow, you're exactly where you said you'd be." He tells them not to go in the ship, otherwise they will die. And Mick asks, "Says who?" This man answers, "You said it." And Rip Hunter asks, "Who are you?" The man takes out his hood and says, "My name is Rex Tyler, and I am a member of the Justice Society of America." End of the season, we are left to the reveal that our man will be a member of the team in season 2. I couldn't have loved this finale more. I love Patrick J. Adams, he's a great actor. Really surprised to see him here and interpreting the character of Our Man. A really powerful character from the comics. Those of you who don't know, I am not going to tell you anything because I want you to be surprised by whatever happens next season. So overall, what did I think of Legends of Tomorrow? For those of you who know me, you probably know that Arrow has been my favorite show in TV for the past few years. I gotta tell you, given how season 4 has been, Legends of Tomorrow is the best of the 3 CW shows by a mile. I love this show. I love the characters. I love the adventures they go in. I love the action in this show. I mean, you can see the money on the screen as our characters fly by, all these big explosions. The time travel element is a big thing to me. I really love time travel, the concept of it. Arthur Darvill coming in from Doctor Who, interpreting a kind of Time Lord character. I really like to see him grow as an actor and interpreting such a different role. He was my favorite character by far in this show. I really enjoyed him. Adam, a character who I didn't give a crap about when he was on Arrow, he really grew on me during this season. I love his story arc in the beginning. I love the romance he had with Kendra. I really like to see him understanding that he cannot stay with her. I really like White Canary. Love seeing her back. I know lots of characters are always coming back on Arrow and The Flash and the show even, but I really want to see Katie Lotz a lot more on my TV screen, and having her in this series really fits her character. Heatwave and Captain Cold, their bond really grows on this series, and Captain Cold really gives such a charm to this series. He's the cheesy, corny guy, but that really fits him. I mean, the character is so great in this show. He never became a hero. You can see there's good in him, but he never fully became a hero. He had his own interests in stopping Vandal Savage. Jay and Martin Stein, I still can't like the Jay character. I can like him when he's together with Martin Stein as Firestorm, but alone, I really can't give a crap about him. Kendra and Carter were the weak links of the team, but Kendra's character really grew on the series. Carter, I was glad they got rid of him because the actor really needs to learn how to act, but the character of Kendra and even her romance with Adam was good in my opinion. I thought it served the character and served their purpose in this story, because if she didn't have that, she wouldn't really have anything to do having Carter gone. I really enjoyed Casper Crump's interpretation of Vandal Savage. I really liked to see him fighting. His action scenes were brutal. He was a really good villain who always seemed to be in control and always seemed to have a twist ready for our friends whenever they got the upper hand. However, I wish I could have seen more of the Vandal Savage tyrant, more of the Vandal Savage strong guy who has super strength and who can just punch anyone around, even Superman. We didn't really see that. I also think some of the special effects, as much as the CW were ambitious to release this, having big ball-out explosions and heavy eccentric action sequences, I really thought they should have dumbed it down a little bit so they could better the special effects maybe next season. But the twists in the story itself, how the characters grow and how the characters connect, the action in this show is excellent. No episode is as the one before. I really enjoyed the episode where we got to meet the young Rip Hunter. I really enjoyed the Wild Wild West episode. I really enjoyed last week's episode when Captain Cold dies, and I really enjoyed this finale. And the two-parter season premiere was great as well. This series completely took me by surprise. I was really just checking it out because it was part of the Arrow and Flash universe, but I am so happy that I did, and I absolutely am going to give Legends of Tomorrow an amazeballs rating. Go check it out if you haven't. It's absolutely worth your while. Guys, what did you think of Legends of Tomorrow? Do you think it is as awesome as I do? Do you think it is better than Arrow this past season and as Flash this past season? I will have reviews for those two shows when they air their finale episodes this coming week, and I have already uploaded previous TV reviews, so you can go check them out. There's links for my Facebook and my Instagram in the description below. Go stalk me on the internet. There's also a little subscribe button below the video box so you can subscribe to my channel if you haven't and be updated whenever I upload a video, like a TV review or movie review or a Q&A, or this coming week an unboxing. Of course, I will leave a link to my previous video right here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this TV review once again. Go check out my previous TV reviews. Over here is my X-Men Apocalypse no spoilers movie review. My next video will be my X-Men Apocalypse Q&A. No worries, no spoilers there. After that, my The 100 Season 3 TV review. On Sunday will be my X-Men Apocalypse spoilers review. I hope to see you guys on those, and of course I will see you on the next review. Cheers.